Hello and welcome to Voices of Parenting podcast. I am so glad you're here. My name is Mussi Diskin. I am an advanced nurtured heart approach trainer. I am a parenting coach. I am also an inner wealth coach, which means that I help people rediscover and connect to the people that they truly were all along, but may have gotten forgotten along the way. So to find out more about me and what I offer, you can check out mussydiskin.com, contact me through there, respond to this podcast, find me on social media. I would love to connect and I would love to hear your feedback. To sponsor a Voices of Parenting podcast episode, please reach out to energizinghearts@gmail.com. Thank you for being here, and I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Hello, Devorah. Welcome back to the space. I am so glad you're here. I loved the energy you brought to the other podcasts we did, and I know that I got so much feedback from everyone. So I'm so excited you're here again. And I can't wait to get into all of your passion and experiences with the Nurture Heart approach. But before we do, if you could just introduce yourself, tell our audience who you are, what you do, and then we'll dive into the good stuff.
I'm Devorah. I'm coming from preschool, so I like to do a lot of motions. I was just filling in for a teacher the past 6 weeks, and wow, what an amazing experience. An amazing time with the Nurture Heart approach at Gone Preschool.
And you're also a mommy, I believe.
Yes.
So you've got plenty of experience just from morning till night in your own home as well. And she's my sister-in-law, in case I didn't say that. Okay, so Devorah, tell us about this experience, the 6 weeks in preschool, and why you say that Nurtured Heart is so transformational and magical.
So I'll give a little background. I always like to find like patterns in things and then see how certain things are the same or certain things are different, and then make systems around things for my own like mind processing. So I was noticing at preschool that any bumpy patches during the day were generally like 85% of it was revolving around sharing toys, taking turns, physical aggression, and the fourth one I guess I would say is just cooperation or listening when the teacher says something. Almost every time there was like any sort of hiccup and it wasn't just smooth, you can plop one of those things into one of those buckets. And using the Nurtured Heart approach across all of it was as magical as it was with the older children. Older children already have a significant amount of life experience, and they're not necessarily trusting. They're not taking everything you say at face value. So you have to get around defenses. But at preschool, there's none of that. And Nurtured Heart approach works immediately, like instantaneously, in the most incredible way. So I'll share an example maybe from each of those 4 buckets. The biggest thing is, I would say, physical aggression. Kids use their hands more quickly, for sure, than using their words, because developmentally they have hands and they've used it and it works. And then they've gotten feedback from the adults and the other people in their surroundings, and that works. So they're very quick to use their hands, or sticks, or shove carts, shopping carts, or whatever it is, and much slower to use words, which is something we work on at preschool. So especially in the class that I was in the past 6 weeks, which is 2 and 3-year-olds, this is happening a lot throughout the day, all the time. Even as we're giving them the skills to use their words, because it's developing. A lot of the kids just don't have it. So with each interaction, we're giving them those tools, but it's happening. It's happening over and over. Usually, thankfully, with the Nurtured Heart approach, we don't really have kids hitting. It's amazing. And I'll walk you through like what we've done when we did. But just grabbing, or we have a shopping cart where they can put their groceries, so they'll like bang it into someone if they need the space, or bang their body, or if they have a stick, they'll use that. They're not so much using their hands to hit. And I'll share actually why I think that is. So the nurture heart approach is magical in those moments. It just the opportunity for learning with the nurtured heart approach is so powerful during all times when kids are being physically aggressive. And what I think is amazing about that is I think I was recently on a Zoom with many directors, and they were talking about this topic. What do you do? Kids are constantly hurting each other and the teachers are not managing, and their goal is to try to help their teachers. And they were talking and I wanted to just scream like, nurtured heart approach. Everything you're saying would be like solved. But I didn't feel that was the right way to do it. So I was sort of quiet until the end when it was my turn to speak. I said, we use the nurtured heart approach, which is quite magical, and everyone jotted it down. So I'm hoping that they'll follow up to give themselves the gift of learning a new way that might be the answer to so many problems. But I'll say a story about a little boy. We will call him, I don't want to use the correct name. And
John.
then that makes me, John, thank you. So John joined our preschool mid-year from a different preschool. And in his old preschool, his parents told me that John is 2.5 and he is having a real issue hitting. He's hitting and biting. So the parents wanted to give me that heads up so I can know. And John came, and the very first day, there were no incidences at all. But the second day, he was sitting near a little girl. He wanted her toy, and he hit her. And we did the nurtured heart approach way, which pretty much has fallen into a routine. It's literally become the same. Even though nurtured heart approach, you're not approaching every situation the same. But with the little ones, you see so much repetition. It's hitting, and then hitting, and then hitting. And it's the same thing happening over and over that as the teacher, as the adult, you end up just doing the same thing. So I didn't experience that so much at the after school program. There was more nuance, but here it's like with the 2.5-year-olds, you're just doing the same thing. So he hit. So what we did is we first turned to the little girl and said, ouch, are you okay? And then we turned back to John and said, oh, look at you. You stopped hitting. And then we turned back to the little girl. You didn't hit back. So they're all getting all that energy for what's going right and what's not going wrong. And then we turned back to John and said, John, what do you want? Do you want the toy, or do you want this little girl, Sarah, to talk to you? Because sometimes they'll hit for attention from their peers. So what do you want? And he points to the toy. So I said, okay, see, Sarah, when you're finished, can I please have your toy or the doll or whatever? And then Sarah said, no. So in our preschool, we coach the kids. They're 2. We coach them. We say, okay, now. Again, very simple words for the age. Or, okay, soon. So I said, Sarah, okay now or okay soon? And she said, okay soon. And I said, great. Morah's going to watch on her clock for soon. So that happened. And then the next day he hit. And then that was it. He didn't hit again that day. Now there are teachers present and there are teachers all doing this. So what was amazing was he was shocked. Like I was checking him out peripherally to see his reaction, because I knew in his old school, this was not the reaction he got. He probably got something very kind and loving, right? Like, we don't hit. We don't use our hands for hitting. Ouch, that hurts. We use gentle hands, or we use our words, and the victim is completely ignored and he's getting drilled. And meanwhile, he doesn't have words. He's still not getting his needs met because the teacher's so focused and proud of herself, really, for coaching him about not hitting. That's like what we're trying to accomplish, when he was just trying to get something, and that's not the point for him. And he's now not getting any help for it at all. And now he has to hit again as soon as the teacher doesn't look, to try to see maybe this time he'll get what he wants. So he was like watching, he was observing, he was taking it all in. And then when I was giving all this effusive to the other girl, like, ouch, are you okay? And then I turned back to him and I said, you stopped hitting? His eyes lit up. He was feeling guilty. He was feeling bad. He's little, but he did the best he could, right? And I was like, you stopped hitting? And he gives me this big smile. And then I turned back to the other kid. You didn't hit back. And then what do you want? It was magic. And he had that happening throughout the day. Next day he hit again at some point. And since that second time, he has not hit a third time. Now there still is on a constant basis kids. So that was like using the hand to hit, right? So thankfully he has not done that again. And none of the kids in our program do that, which a music teacher from a different program shared with me. She's like, I come in and I just see the kids not like fighting, not hitting, which is so unusual when they're getting into circles and they're getting into their seats and they're moving around. Like I see kids shoving and pushing, and she's like, the kids don't. She's like, what's your secret? It's a nurtured heart approach. But what is happening is kids are still like pushing their body, just like trying to like get their way or get things. So they're not like using it as, they're not like feeling the need to aggressively hit to get their needs. But like in the moment, they're still, like they want something. So they'll push their body there or like grab something. And we do the same thing. Like, wow, we'll go to the victim. Ouch, are you okay? You stopped pushing. You didn't push back. What is it that you want? And it's very, very quick because we do want to get quickly to the kid who really just wants something to assisting him. And that has been magical. Do you have any things you want to share or say about that before?
Yeah, so what I love is that you just created a like sort of template for how to work through a moment where the child is coming from a place of having needs and not knowing how to get his needs, which is stand 1. There's no negativity in the choice he made, meaning the choice is against the rules. That's stand 3. So I'm not going to but I'm not going to turn it into a like whole situation. I'm not going to focus on that. I don't feel negatively towards it, but I want to help him with his needs, but I want to connect stand 2 in a way that is stand 3, not clarity, not enforcing the broken rule, but enforcing the right way to go about this and connecting with what's going right so that I could then teach from that connected relationship place. And so immediately your template that I hear you saying is so brilliant is the non-rule breaker, validate your experience, the rule breaker who's no longer breaking the rules. So like all the energy is here because nothing's going wrong here. Meanwhile, what's going wrong stops. Wow, that stopped. Rule breaker. Now we're in relationship. Now all 3 of us are in relationship. Now all 3 of us are in stand 2 because there's no rule breaking going on. Everybody's making good choices right now. Everybody's handling themselves well. And I can move right into, how can I help you, my dear? Like I'm the teacher, I'm here to guide, and I can help you get what you need. And both sides have been seen and have been valued and have been, and none of them are the evil. None of them are the enemy. Both of them have been brought in to this dynamic, and then you're teaching. And then I'm sure, which you didn't say, but throughout the day, when kids are using their words, when kids are asking, when kids aren't grabbing, when kids aren't hitting for what they need, when they are taking turns, right? They're learning in those moments that those are choices that are not only appropriate, but are incredibly strong and incredibly mature and all of this. So they're being reinforced the whole day that this is the way to go. But in that moment where it's not happening, where there is a hit, you have this like clear way to even communicate to new teachers, let's say. Like it's so clear. I feel like for the audience, this is like so clear. This like 1, 2, 3. Victim, check in, validate. My focus is here. Perpetrator, appreciation of rule no longer broken. Welcome back to relationship. Stand 3, clarity. Okay, what's next? What do we need? What do we need? What skills do we need to give? What needs do we need to meet? Like what's here? So yeah, that's super cool. I don't have anything to add. I'm just reflecting what you just said.
It's interesting to hear you say that, like it's convenient for a teacher to just, oh, there you have it, to give to a teacher. And it just struck me, like, at least where I live, but I'm hearing this across the board in the education system, specifically early childhood, that there's very quick turnover in teachers sometimes. And a lot of times you'll be having young teachers or, new teachers. And nurtured heart approach really is a journey. Like as it settles with you more and more within yourself, and you can embody it fully and receive it fully and give yourself the nurtured heart, right? Do that for yourself. You can do it more for others. So then in a certain sense, it's like, you hire a new teacher and she'll stay for a year or two and you're like, oh, she couldn't really give it fully because she didn't really, like, it didn't become part of who she is fully, but there's still so many like strategic, like almost, what did you say? Like, it's just the routine. It's like a template that like even a teacher who's brand new or hasn't really gotten to a certain place with nurtured heart approach naturally for themselves, they can just do it. And then hopefully
I hear and I value what you're saying, and I totally get how I'm so grateful that nurtured heart has been a journey for me, so that I could value and appreciate and like make the most out of this meaningful way of having relationships, so right side up, and seeing the transformation that's possible from such a real place. And also, especially in a school setting, especially in a more less relational, even though school has to be relational, learning only happens with relationship, but the bottom line, like, agenda in a school is not the same as in a home and a family. It's not. In school, you're here to learn and grow in academia and socialization, and at home, you're there for safety and security and survival. Like, there's different goals, right? In a school or any other system where it's more like systemized and things have to kind of run the way they have to run, and everyone's working together. Nurtured heart also, besides for being the depth of what it really is, also is a way for us to stop making things worse for ourselves. It's a way to stop inadvertently sabotaging our own ability to do what we want to do, because we are investing in the wrong places at the wrong times and making matters worse. There's a book that Josh Kirsten wrote, and I don't remember the exact name of it, but it's something like how to stop accidentally making things worse or something like that. Even if I'm not getting the whole depth of nurtured heart and the whole reason why I'm doing it, I'm not connecting to the child and building their inner wealth in a way that's rich and nourishing. If I'm using a template of focus on the kid who's not breaking the rules, come back to the kid who broke the rules and appreciate that, and move forward in clarity of how to best meet both of those kids' needs. And that's all it is. There's not even an understanding of why. I'm just doing that. What I am not doing is I'm preventing myself from inadvertently energizing and sustaining and nourishing and growing the exact behavior that I don't want anymore, by making it be the way for kids to get relationship, the way for kids to be seen, and perpetuating it, like you said, because they don't have new skills. They don't have a new way to go about it. So now they are left with only the behavior they always had and feeling shame about it and bad about it because they know they shouldn't do it, but they also have no other way. So even just as a template, that's the brilliance, I think, of nurtured heart, is this onion that peels. It's like, even on a super superficial level that I don't necessarily love and value, and I'm proud and own the fact that I'm not on that level, and that I've opened the onion and peeled the onion and peeled the onion, and I'm still peeling the onion, and I take whoever is willing to come along with me to get deeper into the onion. Like, let's get the fullness and the richness of this, even on the outer peel of the onion, the brown part that you can't even eat. There's still value to not making things worse, because without it, it's so upside down and we don't even know that it's upside down. So, and I think Devorah, and I know our time went so fast, but I do think there's so much value in what we said as far as just giving people like the template, making it so practical. I think that, and this came across also the last recording we had, is that your greatness is stand 3 clarity. You are, your brain, the way you even described in the beginning, how you like look for patterns and you categorize and you watch how it's, what's working, what's not working, and where the things are, and the way you think. There's a natural stand 1. There's a natural, like, not seeing things as bad or wrong or problems or people's fault or blaming. There's a natural, like, fascination and curiosity and openness and an organization. That's the stand 1. And then the stand 3 of the organization of like, so how do we make this better? Like what's the answer here? And an incredible way of making it so practical and so clear. Like I've always seen that with you, even before Nurtured Heart. You're able to really, really, really make things crystal clear and practical. And it's I'm so glad that you're a director of programs with an S at the end, because that's such a skill. Like I'm so out of it because it's what I had to work the hardest on. Like for me, that was the hardest thing, to learn how to even think in an organized way. It's just brilliant. And every time you talk about what you do, it's always so practical because it's coming from such a thought out place.
Right.
So before we close, I'm wondering if I could just ask you, if somebody is watching this, is a preschool teacher, is a preschool director, maybe has a lot of preschool age kids at home, and they want to kind of implement this, like, not making things worse level of Nurtured Heart, like, can we borrow your brain and your brilliance? Like, what should they look out for? Like, what do you look for? What do you ask yourself to figure out how to do this in a right side up way, in a Nurtured Heart way?
I would say see everything the child does for the good, or for a message, for help, how to do it in the right way. Because as adults, we want to know, it's the greatest hope and joy for all of us that we know that the people around us look at us always as really good people and just trying our best. So I think if we look at every single situation around the child as they're good, they're just good, I think that will give a context for helping us problem solve around problematic behavior. Sometimes that is the case. They are experimenting or whatever it is. But if we come from the context, they're good, they're trying their best, they're trying to see what works, and we're there to help them, that'll set us on the right footing.
Amazing. Devorah, if there's a director or teacher or somebody out there that would want to connect with you or hear more about what you do, are you available to that? Is there any way they could reach you? What could they expect?
Yes, sure. My number is 650-561-6013, or Devorah@chabadpaloalto.com if you'd like to reach me.
Amazing. And I will put her contact information also in the show notes. So thank you so much for being here, and see you next time.
Thank you, Mussi.
Hey, wait, don't go yet. Take a minute to find the beautiful quality that you have, that you appreciate about yourself.